Well, g'day, curd nerds, and welcome to another episode of Ask the Cheeseman, where I answer your home cheese making questions. We've got a action-packed show this morning. I don't know how many are on, but we'll wait a little bit longer before we actually start the intro roll and see what's going on. Just waiting for the moderator to turn up. I think she was just finishing her breakfast, so. Seeing it's 8 o'clock in the morning here in Australia. Oh, there she is. She's ready now. Fantastic. Okay, we'll wait for a few more people to turn up and then we'll get started. G'day, Joe. How are you? DIY Gardener. G'day. We've got Ike Art Films. G'day, Jonathan. Oh, there we go. It's all going. Everybody hear me okay? Just a hand up. Mystic Knight. Been a long time since I've seen you. Louis, is it Louis? It's very hard. Sorry about that. Joe, another one. Oh, well, he's there saying hello. Adam, g'day. Louise is from Lewis. I think it's ASO. Sorry. Colleen. Who else we got? Asman's back. Lovely to see you all. All right, let's kick off the show, shall we? Well, g'day, curd nerds. G'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Okay, as I mentioned, this is Ask the Cheeseman, and I answer all your cheesy questions. Couple of g'days to Jonas, Ben, and Joe is a curd dweeb. No, everybody's a curd nerd, mate. Just before we start, I want a couple of shout-outs to recent patrons. So shout out to Aaron, Stefan, Graham, and Logic. Thank you very much for supporting the show. You can also support the show on a monthly basis for as little as $1 US over at patreon.com/greeningergavin, I think is the link, but Kim will put the link in the show notes. Don't forget that during the show, if you'd like to donate to keep the channel going, don't forget that you can super chat. It's a little dollar sign down there on the chatty thing. And it's pretty simple to set up. Only takes about a minute, and you can pledge your support that way as well. Anyway, so let's get on with the show. I think, do we have any questions? I'll just read out a few comments. Colleen says, I showed my boyfriend one of your videos, and now I have a cheese-making maniac on my hands, all because of you. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Thanks for doing what you do. No problems, Colleen. Wayne says, g'day to see you again. Really missing the evening shows when we have time to watch. Sorry, Wayne. Kim and I found that doing 2 shows a day was a bit taxing on our schedule. We've got a small business to run as well as I've got a day job. So it was really cutting into our free time. I know I'd like to be able to do a show twice a day, but unfortunately I can't. Who is the best curd? Who is the best curd? No, don't understand. G'day, David, or Wabbit Slayer. Nice to see you on again. Eggy and Kep. Except for the cream, what are the differences between brie and camembert? I have researched this. Really, the molds and the cultures are basically the same, Kep, and the really only difference is that the size of the wheel. So camembert is small; it's about 7 centimeters round. Well, the diameter across is 7 centimeters, whereas brie is rather large. Probably about the same height as camembert, but a large wheel, sometimes up to 22 centimeters. Yeah, it seems to work. That seems to be the main difference. Plus, slight variations in the temperature of the milk before you add the starter cultures. But really, that's about it. But really, because they're both AOC cheeses in France, it's how to pronounce it? It's the earth, the environment, or the terroir. I think it's pronounced. I'm not sure. I'm not French. But it's the area they're made in, so the different bacteria and stuff. And I'm pretty sure that specific AOC recipes say that the milk has to be raw, milk before they start. So I think that's the main difference is kept. Okay, B Swin says Super Chat is available on iOS devices. Oh, that's no good. Sorry about that. Lily, hi Gavin, good to see you. Good to see you too, Lily. And I have been a curd herder. Okay, how's the clay oven these days? Going well. In fact, Kim and I have booked a family get-together in, I think it's the first week of October. That's the first time our busy schedule allows us to have a social calendar. So we're going to be cooking up a storm, and I'm going to be doing a video. I'm going to whip up some quick mozzarella and some of the other cheeses that I've got on the cheese fridge. I'm going to break those out, and we're going to grate those and pop them over the top of our pizza. And I'm going to show you just how fast or slow it takes to heat up the pizza oven and then to cook the pizzas. And I think Kim's going to do some calzone as well, or calzone. So that should be good fun. So yeah, Kim, good reference. When the clocks change in October for us, the times were better for the morning show for those in Europe, North America, and the same for South America, I think. Anyway, on to the next question. It's from Ben, and Ben says, Gavin, in some cheese recipes, it is required to ladle, in others to pour the curd in two forms. Can you explain the difference between this and how it changes the outcome of the cheese? The reason that some recipes say that you should ladle the curds is because they're really fragile. And if you poured the curd chunks into a colander with cheesecloth lined, then you may find they'll fracture and they'll just disintegrate, and most of them will go down the sink. That's the main reason that some recipes ask you to ladle the curds into the cheese. Into the cheesecloth. Can't think of any other reason except for the fragility, if that's a word, of the curds. Junius, have you ever tried to make string cheese? Smoked string cheese. What is the outcome? String cheese is mozzarella. Would you believe? So they use a standard mozzarella recipe. They stretch the curd over and over until you get those little fibers. And if you're talking about stringers, which you get in a little plastic tube, then you can just peel them off like that. It's mozzarella. So there you go. There's I've blown everybody's mind. Okay. So next question from Daryl. You should make poutine and compare store-bought curd to homemade curd. I have made poutine before. And if you look at the video for squeaky cheese curd, you'll see how I made it. Only problem is there is no store-bought curd here in Australia, or I can't find it where I live. So you can't go to the store and buy a bag of cheese curd. Doesn't exist. I don't think we're that cultured yet. So, so I can't compare it with anything. Joel says, what are some good cheese and cracker combinations? Any cheese with any crackers, as far as I'm concerned. And before anybody asks, yes, I like all cheese. I don't have a favourite. Robert says, do you think I could use a magnetic stirring hot plate for some of the more tedious cheeses that require a lot of stirring? No. Problem with that, and I know exactly what you're talking about. It's got a little thing at the bottom, it's like in chemistry class where you've got the plate down the bottom, you got a little magnet, and it spins around and stirs the liquid. Unfortunately, the curds tend to sink to the bottom. They always do, because they're heavier than the whey, obviously. And they will form into a big bunch. They'll mat into a form, and your little stirrer thing is just going to be spinning a hole in the bottom of the curd. So unfortunately, you have to stir top to bottom to keep those curds moving around and when you make cheese. So no, that won't work. There are a lot of stirring devices. The top ones with an impeller type thing, so it actually moves the curds and whey upwards, and then it sinks down to the sides, is the best way. And you'll see a lot of cheesemakers, professional cheesemakers, have that sort of stirring device. Okay, Kep's got a question. What will happen if I ripen camembert at 10 instead of 7? Well, for the first 2 weeks, it doesn't matter that much. Over 10, you'll start to run into issues like the molds and the starter cultures will over-ripen your cheese and start to go runny. That's after 2 weeks. But once you've got a bloom all over, after about 10 to 14 days is when you usually get a full bloom cover. Then wrap it. And I find it's best if you put it into the normal kitchen fridge, wrapped in the micro perforated wrap. And then you'll get a creamy paste all the way through instead of a runny paste. And usually associated with that runny paste is an ammonia smell, really pungent ammonia smell, if the temperature's too high. If you let it mature at between 10 and 13 for the whole 4 weeks, you'll find the whole middle, you cut it, all you've got left is the skin and the rest is just milk or just very smelly cheese. So hopefully that's helped out, mate. MJ UK, g'day, how are you? You got the time wrong. Well, you haven't because you're here. Mystic Knight, have you ever made farmer's cheese? Yes, I have. I've made in my book, Keep Calm and Make Cheese, The Beginner's Guide to Cheese Making at Home. There is a recipe for farmhouse cheddar, which is a stirred curd cheddar. It is crumbly, but it really doesn't. It's a lot more crumbly than what normal cheddar is. It tastes really nice. So insofar as that's what I call farmer's cheese, yes, I've made it. I think there might even be a video. I'm not sure. Have a look through the back catalogue for farmhouse cheddar. Jade says, what's a good cheese for a novice to start with? Kim will put a link up, Jade, and she hasn't done many links. I don't know where she is. Must be hiding. And there's a video where I list beginner's cheeses. So to start from the most basic up to a little bit advanced, and you can make them all without having a cheese fridge, a special ripening area. So hopefully Kim will put that up in a minute. Okay. iCart says, I made Gouda. It only has 6 more days of ripening. Can't wait to try it. I reckon it'll be fantastic. If there's no off odors or the wax hasn't bulged or anything exciting like that, then hey, that'll be cool. John from San Francisco, g'day cheesies. Is that a new name? I thought, well, curd nerds. Richard says, hi again, Gavin. I've made sherv over the weekend. The issue was it didn't firm up into a cream cheese consistency despite hanging it for 18 hours. What do you recommend for firming it up further? Is it really sloppy, or did the curd not set properly in the first place? When you laid it in, was it really runny? Maybe maybe not enough rennet to set it properly, because I can't. After 18 hours, you would think it would be firmish and enough whey to run out of it for it to firm up. So something's wrong somewhere. Not sure. What you can do is you could transfer it to another cheesecloth if you could. If you found that all the holes in the cheese in the butter muslin, sorry, the tight weave cheesecloth are all blocked up, you could move the cheese around and try and get some of the whey up. But if it didn't set in the first place, then you got no luck. It should be fairly set when you put it in there. It should be lumps of curd that drain out. Anyway, John says, time to put that cheddar cheese wedge, put on the cheddar cheese wedge hat. Yeah, I've seen pictures of the cartoon character Cheeseman. Yeah, weird. Maybe I'll find one. Robert says, thanks for the tip. Yeah, you have fantastic share. I share it with everybody. Keep up the great work. Thanks, mate. Yeah, don't forget to tap the thumbs up. That also gets, what happens is that goes on to your page as a liked video, and maybe people will find it there. That's pretty good. Or better still, share it on Facebook. Everybody loves a good Facebook share. Samurai Kenji. Do you know poutine, fries, cheese curds, and barbecue sauce? Yes. Kim will put a recipe link to my poutine video, which is squeaky cheese curd, Kim, if you can find it there. And you'll put that up there. Poutine in Australia is not the same as what they have in Canada. It's a very poor imitation, apparently. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was gravy as well. So on poutine, not barbecue sauce. We made a nice light gravy. Okay. John Lord, ultra pasteurized milk or too low cheese not setting? Yes, correct. Richard says, try to add more rennet to my sherbet next time. Yeah, it's only because it's only a few, not even a, I don't even think it's a mil. Depends on how much you made, of course. Richard. Wayne says, thanks very much for your help, Gavin. We have made so much cheese from our soft cheese kit over the last 2 months. I've made us a cheese press and we have our cheese cave set up. What do you think is a good place to start as we move on to hard cheese? Highly recommend Caerphilly. It only takes 3 weeks to mature. Has a lovely rind and a nice creamy paste in the middle. It has a really a basic cheddaring process, so basic that you can just do it on the side of your sink. And Kim will slip in the link for the Caerphilly video there somewhere. Highly recommend that to start off with as your first hard cheese. Really good fun. And you get to practice temperature control in your cheese cave as well. Okay, Kep said, Gavin, I've made a prototype stirrer. When making my cheddar yesterday, speed controller went out of control for a bit. And curd went everywhere and cut into very small pieces. Yeah, you got to watch those homemade curd cutters, curd pot stirrers. That's funny. You've made my day, Kep. That's hilarious. But best of luck on trying to fix it. I didn't mean to. I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing with you. That's funny. Okay, well done. What cheese is my favourite? Stav, all of them. Love all cheese. Richard says, you recommend before you do some home brewing. Is that all grain or extract? What is your favourite home brew recipe? Well, I have tried all grain brewing and it is time consuming and you have to get it just right. So I kind of stick to extract brewing now, where you buy the tin of extract and you add other things to it. So I augment the tin with some other stuff. And yeah, anyway, so that's what I do, and they all taste nice with cheese. So, and Rabbit Slayer, yes, it's Cheeseman Live, not Beer Man. We do Beer Man on another channel. Maybe that's a good segue. Yeah, so cool. Thanks for the links, Kim. That's fantastic. Harrison says, I'm back. Do you believe Cheetos really use real cheese in their cheese puffed? I'm not convinced. Yeah, they use cheese powder. I don't know what cheese it is, but it is a cheese powder or a form of processed cheese powder. So it's not really cheese if it's processed cheese. It's not made the same. Oh, pardon me. Just breakfast. Okay. Eduardo says, hello, Gavin. I'm from Brazil. Just discovered your channel last Sunday. Well, welcome. Next Saturday will be my first. I will start my first cheese. Thanks. What cheese are you making, Eduardo? It'd be interesting to know. Joe, have you made any pepper jack cheese? Yes, pretty easy. Recipe again is in Keep Calm and Make Cheese for pepper jack. It's basically Monterey Jack. And what you do, exactly the same process as Monterey Jack. Funny about that. So it's got the name pepper jack. And all you do is get, oh, I can't remember the recipe off the top of my head. Anyway, you get some dried chilies, you crush them up, and you boil them for about 15 minutes in 1 cup of non-chlorinated water. You save that water and you tip the water into the milk before you start processing your cheese, before you start doing all the stuff to it. You keep the chili flakes and you add them in at milling time. So when you mill the curd and the salt together in the Monterey Jack, and bingo boingo, you've got pepper jack. So try that. It's very good. And it is hot. The more chili you add, obviously, and the more fiery, or the bigger the Scoville count of the chili, then yeah, the hotter it is, obviously. Yes, John, I agree with you there. Sprayed cheese whiz, it's processed cheese. Might taste yummy, but it's not good for you, like normal cheese is. Okay. I thought we're just about to run out of questions then. Okay, so Jonathan said, I'm keeping up very well today. Have you ever had stinking Bishop? How does it compare to Limburger? Have you got a favourite import brand of Limburger? No, I can't find Limburger, and there might be some. Kim and I are going to the Mould Festival this weekend, so if anybody's got tickets, we'll see you there if you live in Melbourne. And just on a slight segue, the video for this weekend will be a little bit delayed because it's going to be a vlog of the Mould Festival, of Kim and I's adventure to taste all the cheeses possible and have a few bevies, of course, drinks. And that should be good fun. So I will probably process that video, post-production Sunday. It might be released Sunday night, depends on how tired I am. And Sunday, either Sunday night or Monday morning. So a little bit of a delay on this week's video, but it should be a pretty good one. So, because we're pretty excited about the festival itself. And we're taking Kim's very flash iPad and my phone, and that's how we're going to capture the footage. And if it all turns out all right, then so be it. If it's too noisy, then don't know what we're going to do. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Okay, back to Stinking Bishop. Yes, I have tried Stinking Bishop. It's very nice. You just got to hold your nose when you eat it. But Limburger, no, I haven't tried that, and it is difficult to come by because it's only those red mold ripened cheeses are only ripened for about 6 weeks, and you can imagine trying to transport them in bulk here to Australia. I'm sure no airline would transport Limburger, so I don't think they're going to get here, and I don't think there are many local cheesemakers making that for the Australian palate. Okay. Richard says, I've been wanting to make Parmesan for a while, but my biggest cheese fear is opening a failed wheel of cheese after 18 months of ripening. Look, you don't have to be fearful because Parmesan's kind of, once you've got a basic rind on it, and then you could vac pack or wax it, because the wheels that we make don't compare to the massive big 80-kilo wheels of traditional AOC Parmesan. So you really do have to keep them moist somehow. You won't be able to ripen it in the cheese fridge for 18 months. It'll dry out to rock hardness, rock hard consistency. So yeah, you need to wax it or something. But you can take that wax off anytime you like, or the vac pack, you'll be able to see through the plastic. There's no, you are in control. You control the fate of your cheese. So don't be frightened at all. You can make minor corrections. If there is, Kim trying to put some sort of link there. I'm not sure what's going on. Anyway, so you are in control of your cheese. Sorry, I got carried away there looking at the chat. Rabbit Slayer takes some video of your trip. For us, not in Melbourne. Yes, that's what we're doing. Rabbit Slayer, no problems. Limburger is the cheese equivalent of Duran fruit. Yeah, I've had that. It's it stinks. Tastes fantastic, but it stinks. Kim, right, there we go. So yeah, Kim did put a link to a video well, it's not a video I shared. There was an article written by some guy on Vice.com, a nice man, who wrote a bit about the Cheeseman channel that I run, and compared me to Bob Ross I'm the Bob Ross of the cheese world. Apparently, my voice puts people to at ease and calm down after a heavy night clubbing or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so check out that link. It's quite funny. Don't leave the video now, but check out the link. Put it into a tab or something. Kep says, still pressing cheddar, but flattened like a pancake. Kep, I think that you may have either not cheddared long enough to get enough moisture out. Usually cheddar doesn't flatten. It's quite, the curds are quite firm and dry when you put them together, especially when you cut them into cubes and then you put them into the press, and you've really got to press fairly hard to get them to form. But usually they don't flatten out like a pancake, so not sure what you're doing there, mate. Jonathan says, how is Holly doing? She's doing fine. Up until about half an hour ago, she was sleeping on the cheesy chair of wisdom behind me there. Yeah, I don't think I'll bring her out. Anyway, Joy said, oh, hello, Joy. Joy, love the video about you that the Vice guy put out. Thanks very much. Yeah, I thought it was quite entertaining. It was a bit of a shock. My good friend over in Canada who runs the Winding Road Artisan Cheese Company, Ian Trower, alerted me to it. I didn't even know it existed, so no, it was pretty good. Sometimes Google alerts just don't work like they should. Anyway, so John says there's a Wisconsin cheese girl, go Green Bay Packers cheeseheads. Huh? Okay. Oh, yes. I think he's talking about Joy. Churus says, when should you keep an eye on your cheese? When it's up to no Gouda. That is another cheese joke I have not heard before. Very good. I like that. Okay. Guini says, what is the rarest, most obscure type of cheese you have ever tried or heard of? Ever tried to make or ever tried to eat? So, like I said, it's very difficult to get some cheeses here in Australia. Most Anglo-Australians were brought up on cheddar, and that was it. There was nothing else. Today's foodie scene is a little bit more hip, insofar as people's palates are beginning to improve as far as cheese, and there are a lot more cheese makers, artisan cheese makers, who are experimenting with different types of cheeses. So that's a good thing. I can only see that as a good thing. But as far as rarity of cheeses go, any cheese that I try that I've never seen, that's why I try so many weird and wonderful recipes. Up until what is it, about 2 months ago, I'd never tried Gruyere. I had to make it myself. I could have bought a piece, but it would have been really old, and it probably wouldn't have had the same flavour as it would have been a piece of Gruyere if I bought it in Switzerland. So you've got to remember the transport factors between the rest of the world and Australia. If we don't make it here, then we don't get to try the true product. So hopefully that answers your question, Greenie. Jonathan, got to sign off. See you, Jonathan. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for coming along. Boy, what? The man, the myth, the cheesemaker. There's no myth about me. I am what I am. Gavin says, can you salt the curd instead of brining all the cheeses? No, not really. Certain cheeses like cheddars, obviously you salt the curds. Problem with and then others need to be brined. That's the way they absorb the salt. So I have noticed that some people actually do brine bloomy rind cheeses like Camembert and Brie, and they seem to have no problems at all. But you really got to determine the brining time, because remember with Camembert you put a little layer of salt over every cheese to get it to stop being infected by other bacteria and to promote the bloomy rind to go on. But you certainly difficult question. I have tried both types on some cheeses, and I find that sticking to the original recipe usually works the best. Anyway, dinosaur cheese, definitely rare and petrified, nice one. Jonas, have you worked for some company as a cheese master? No, I haven't. Jonas, I have. I'm all self-taught. Self-taught through books, as you can see over there. Swagger books and stuff that I have there, cheese making books. I try and get as many as I possibly can. I learn and I do. I think learning by doing. And obviously, I've had a lot of help from, people have helped me out where I show videos that the cheese doesn't go quite right. I like to share my successes as well as my failures. And I think that that's true in life, unlike, some things on Instagram and Facebook where you only get to see one side of the picture. However, on this channel, you get to see everything. You get to see the happiness and the sadness of cheese making. But no, I'm all self-taught, mate. And from there, just by being a home cheesemaker, we've managed to grow a small business out of it, and doing quite well. So there you go. That's what's going down. Joy, could you do a video like you did showing all kinds of milk, which I really liked, and talk about different types of rennets? Sometime when you have time to do that. I've only really got 4 different types of rennet for sale, Joy, so it may be difficult. There's 3 main types of rennet, but we could do something like that. I'll have to buy some animal rennet in from somewhere. But yeah, thanks for the feedback on that milk one. I've had some really good feedback on that. It was just somebody left a comment, and the reason I made it was because somebody left a comment, but it wasn't about the milk. It was about cultures. Can I show the difference about cultures and what cheeses they're made for? So that's the next how-to-y kind of video that I'm going to make. And I think that would be worthwhile for a lot of people as well, because it's very confusing, the different types of culture names, the manufacturers, that sort of stuff. I'm just going to I'm going to use the range that we have and very basically go through what sort of cheeses they're used for and put the bacteria names down the bottom. So I think that'll be valuable as well. And I might, in that video, I might slip in the rennets as well and talk about the different types of rennet. So anyway, thanks for the feedback, Joy. Appreciate it. Kasumazu, every show somebody brings that up, and it had to be you, Mystic Knight. I'm disappointed. No, I'm never going to try it, ever, ever, ever. Okay, thanks, Kim. I appreciate that you think I'm wonderful. Okay, John says the wife is the biggest fan. She gets to taste. Yes, she does. She's my #1 cheese taster, other than Holly and Teddy, my 2 4-legged cheese tasters. They never miss out, I'm telling you now. Anyway, Waff, new curd nerd here, love the videos. Thanks, Waff, appreciate it. What have we got here? Everton, g'day, Gavin. I'm curious about the amount of rennet you use. The one I have tells me to use 7 to 9 mils for 10 litres of milk. Does it change according to the manufacturer? I'm totally wasting, or am I totally wasting rennet? No, you're not wasting rennet. Use what the manufacturer says. So if it varies from what my recipes say, I use a rennet that has an IMCU or International Milk Coagulating Unit of 200 is what I prefer. I use CHR Hansen's Chimax Plus is the rennet that I use. And I've just got my hands on some Mad Millie microbial rennet, not microbial, fermented rennet, which is IMCU 280. So I might be using that in the future as well. But if your manufacturer tells you to add a certain amount for 10 litres, then that's what you use. They know. They'll know what the IMCU of the rennet is. So, okay, why wouldn't I try it? Because it's got maggots in it. Who wants maggots in their cheese? It's terrible. That's why. Had to ask that with a Italian cheese kit back there. No, it doesn't make casu marzu. Sorry. It only makes fresh Italian cheeses like mozzarella, bocconcini, a burrata, and gotta remember a few others. But it's very nice. Boy, what part you dislike most about making cheese, if there is one? What part? I enjoy the making, the stirring, the pressing. Really, I had the most trouble maturation, especially the long wait times. That's what I dislike the most. I'm not a guy though that likes instant satisfaction or instant gratification. I can wait. You just leave the cheese there, you forget about it, and when the date pops up in my calendar to go and try the cheese, that's when I get excited. But yeah, long wait times, but hey, that's the modern world today. I don't really care too much about it. Okay. Devani Patel says, hi, can you say hi to me? Hi, how are you? Okay. Zyada, I think that's how you pronounce it. Can you please tell us for how long we can keep a cheese every time you make... Hang on, I'll read that again. Can you please tell us for how long we can keep the cheese every time you make it? In the video, look, it depends. Cheese can last a long, long time if you keep it in the right conditions. I can't tell you how long to keep it for. You could eat it in the first day, for all I know. So unfortunately, no, you can keep the cheeses will keep. You vac pack them again, put them at cold storage at 4 degrees. You can keep cheddar cheese for ages. It'll just keep maturing very, very slowly and improve in flavour. And most cheeses will do that, except fresh cheeses. Fresh cheeses eat within a couple of weeks. So, yeah, sorry about that. Washing up. No, I don't mind the washing up. Kim, you're funny. I get all the washing up done after my cheese making session. Thank you very much. And she knows it too. Okay, John. Alone survivors would eat Velveeta or Cheese Whiz or Dranalimbu before they eat Casu Marzu. Yeah, I reckon they probably would. Everton, awesome. Thank you. No probs. Richard, did you end up winning a prize for your Bloomy Goat Blue? That looked amazing. No, we ate it before I even got to even think about putting it into a cheese festival awardy thing. It was number one as far as I was concerned, and I shared it with some of my friends, and they thought it was amazing as well. But yeah, it certainly could be one for putting into an amateur cheese making competition. I know there's usually one in March. We have one down here in Victoria. I think it's the Red Hill Cheese Show on the Mornington Peninsula. So it might be interesting to enter that. Unfortunately, because it's in March, any cheese you make has to survive over the long hot summer we have down here. Anyway, so Jack says, hello Gavin, I have 2 questions. Please ask, Jack. That's what the channel's for. Muchas gracias. No problems at all. Marcy says, Gavin, after asking you last week, I took a gamble on Gruyere that I had for at least 2 years. It was beautiful and perfect. Thanks. No problems, Marcy. In fact, what Kim suggested a video the other day, because, you know, she's an ideas woman. She just keeps coming up with the ideas, and I'm the doer. So she said, you got this really gnarly piece of Parmesan that you made like 4 years ago. It's just wrapped in cling wrap. It's rock hard, but when you grate it, a fine powder comes out, and it is perfect on pasta. So she said, well, why don't you do a video just on that little piece of Parmesan? And I thought, why not? It would be quite interesting. Make up a bowl of pasta, show everybody that, you know, cheese lasts for a very long time, kept at the right conditions. So, yeah, I think I'll whip something up there. Okay, so here's Jack's 2 questions, everybody. Hello, Gavin. I have 2 questions. Is it cheaper to buy cheese or make cheese at home? And question 2, where could one procure the items for cheese making? Well, Jack, it depends on, question 2 depends on what country. If you're living in Australia, Kim will put the link to our cheese making shop where you can purchase. We ship overseas and all international customers get a 10% discount because I take off the goods and services tax we have in here in Australia, which is applied on the store. So yeah, and the second question, is it cheaper to buy cheese? Once you've got your initial setup, if you can get most of your gear cheap, then cheese that you make at home is definitely cheaper if you can get a cheap source of milk. If you have trouble sourcing milk, then that's where your cheese costs go up. Cultures and stuff usually are about the same. Hang on, I'm not focusing. There we go. So yeah, so that's the main concern, is the price of milk, of good milk to get. Depends on whether it's cheaper. Thanks, Kim, for the link to the shop. That's fantastic. Richard says, I want to invest in a larger cheese fridge, but my lactose intolerant other half wouldn't allow it. How would you suggest on convincing her? Ooh, try and make some lactose-free cheese. So here's the rub. You can do that. If you buy lactose-free milk, you can still turn that in. Depends if it's, make sure it's not ultra pasteurized, because sometimes they're sneaky little buggers and they do that. So see, just because it doesn't have lactose in it means it's got lactase, something like that. And it's split into its 2 component sugars, which is glucose and galactose. Those 2 sugars, the starter cultures will eat and convert into lactic acid. So try making some cheese with some lactose-free milk. As long as the milk fat's up around 3.4 and maybe higher, then you shouldn't have any trouble. Give it a go, because that way you just say, oh, here, honey, here's your special cheese, and you can get yourself a bigger cheese fridge. Go for that. Devani says, when is your next live chat? Same time next week, every Wednesday, 8 in the morning here Australian time, or Eastern Australian time. John says, just tell her you would be very considerate of her intolerance and eat all the cheese yourself. So that's okay. What sort of shelf life do you give the various cheeses you make once you eat them? I don't know. They don't last much longer than 6 months after I've made them. But what I do is, when I do the taste test, and you've all seen the taste test, I cut the cheese in half. I'll vac pack one half, put it in the fridge, and let it there until we have a cheese platter next time, or whatever. And usually no more than 6 months. But some cheeses, like I said, have been in the normal kitchen fridge. I've got a special little area for them. And they're vac packed there for quite a long time. They mature very slowly and they taste fine. Yeah, but for fresh cheese, no more than 2 weeks. Keep Simple says, how about raw milk coming from the cow? I don't understand the question, because raw milk from the cow? Yes. Go and check out the milk video I did on Sunday. The best milk, and you will learn everything about raw milk. And carton milk and shop bought milk, all that sort of good stuff. Kim can slip that link in there somewhere. Craig, hello Craig. I don't think I've talked to you so far. I have a problem with air circulation in my cheese cave. I use an old freezer. It has no fan. The soft cheeses have a problem with skin slip. Could this be the cause? No. Add a little bit of Geotrichum candidum to your soft cheeses if you're making a bloomy rind cheese, and you'll find that stops skin slip. That's probably the cause. I don't have any airflow in my cheese cave either, and I put stuff in ripening boxes and there's no issue whatsoever. So I don't think that's the issue. Gregorio says, I want to start making cheese. Which one should I start with? Make paneer. Have a look for the recipe for paneer. Very simple cheese. You can salt it if you like. I don't in the video, but salt it. It's very nice. Very basic. Tryhard says, I made mozzarella and my rennet did nothing. Is it because I'm using vegetable rennet? No, not really. Check the milk. Milk's usually the worst cause. If you're using raw milk, then yeah, you've got some issues there. But if you're using store-bought milk, check if it's ultra-pasteurized. Make sure it's not UHT. Go and check out the milk video, which Kim's just put the link in, and you'll see what the best type of milk is to make cheese at home. Okay, Rose. Hello, Rose. I've tried making cheese before. All ended up with just milk curds. Need proper ingredients. They don't sell mesophilics and Rennets. You have to order it. Well, that's usually the case for everybody. Here in Australia, there's no shop you can walk into and buy rennet and starter cultures, unless you travel long distances. And most of the stuff's mail order. That's just the way it is these days, right? Cheese making's not like home brewing at the moment, that you can walk into any shop and just go and buy your ingredients. I think someday that'll happen. We have an online store. People get their parcels within Australia within 2 to 3 days, usually. Depends on the carrier, of course. Yeah, it works. Okay. So, Sergio, what time we got? It's 1:45, and I have to take Mr. Teddy to the vet at 9, just after 9. So we're going to have to call it a day, ladies and gentlemen. But we've got, I know, a shout out for Sergio. Hello, Mr. Weber, I'm from Brazil. I watch all your videos. Thanks for the classes. You appreciate it. Thanks for watching, Sergio. So I'm going to have to call it a... Oh, gee whiz, what happened there? It's like on the Titanic. I'm going to have to call it a day. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget that if you really feel like it, then you can super chat down the bottom there and donate to the show. Also, that you can support the show and the channel and everything cheesy that I do by pledging monthly to Patreon. That certainly does help the channel and the show, and it's a good incentive for yours truly to keep making videos. Don't forget you can find recipes and all sorts of goodies at littlegreencheese.com. That's my cheese making blog. And you can find all sorts of kits, cheese making kits like the ones you can see in the background there. They're just a couple of samples. We've got 19 cheese kits, I think, for sale, plus cheese making supplies, rennet, cultures, baskets, presses, you name it, we got it over at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. So go and check that out. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. And we will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, and cheese channel, not bat channel. Watch out for our vlog of the Mould Festival. That'll be out either Sunday night or Monday. Thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and we'll see you next time. Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. G'day, Curd Nerds. Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. Well, g'day, Curd Nerds.